Hey, what up, party people? It's your man, DJ Fernando G, once again with another edition of DJ to DJ. And today I'm really excited because we have one of LA's best afternoon drive time hosts and shows on Cali 93.9. We're talking to DJ Eddie One. What's up, bro?
What's up, man? What's up? How you doing? Welcome to mi casa. Mi casa es tu casa.
Gracias. I appreciate you. Likewise. So you've been doing a lot of stuff lately, man. You've been not only hosting your show on Cali 93.9, but you're also programming the radio station. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, man. Something I
That's
have been wanting to do for a long time. You very well know
Yeah,
how
yeah,
long I've been wanting to do this.
yep. You
Yeah,
and
man, it's finally happening.
exactly, that's awesome. Now you and I got the opportunity to work together over at Mega 96.3, which was when I got there, Latino 96.3. Then they changed it to LA 96.3, and then they switched it back to Latino, then to Mega. So, and you were there for how long?
And I was there for over 15 years.
15 years, but wow, that's a long time. And you were on the
But let's do the
same.
math. 2006. I started 2006 there. And
Wow,
I left there exactly a year ago this week. This week I had my first year anniversary at Cali, my new home.
nice. Well, congratulations, bro, on the new gig and making your dreams come true, man. That's cool. That's very cool. But what do you say we backtrack a little bit and let's go to the origins of DJ Eddie One? And we always start off with the same question.
Okay.
When was it that you discovered DJing, turntables, and beat mixing? How old were you when that happened?
I was about 18, 19 years old and actually a little younger, but I didn't decide to start DJing right away. At 18, 19 years old, I obviously knew what turntables and mixing was because I used to do promotions. I started off working for this company back in the days called Cali Kings,
Mm.
which used to be owned by uh, Frank Vidal, which is the older brother of the Baker Boys. He gave me a shot at working with him. I was working for him, doing promotions. So my job was going to the nightclubs, giving out CDs back then. We're giving away CDs,
Cool.
singles, putting up posters of the clubs, putting up posters on the streets.
Wow.
And I was a hip hop head and a house music head because I grew up listening to house music and hip hop in the 90s, a little bit of rock en español, a little bit of 80s.
Right.
But the reggaeton wasn't there yet. It
Right.
was
Right.
when I first discovered turntables and DJing and mixing. I was mixing hip hop.
Wow.
Um, I one day I said, I saw the music industry switching from vinyl to digital, and that kind of hurt. That kind of hurt a lot of jobs that were like the one I had, which
Right.
was
Right.
more
Right.
of a
Right.
one-on-one street promotion job.
Mhm.
And one day I said, you know what? I'm getting all these records. I used to watch Felly. I used to watch DJ Vice. I used to watch even, Humpty, Richard Vision,
Yeah.
which I know you had on your show recently.
Yeah.
Great interview, by the way. I
Thanks.
watched it the other day. Those were the guys I grew up listening to. So one day I said, I'm gonna put these turntable. I bought me a set of turntables, a DJ mixer, and these big ass speakers that were just loud but didn't sound good in an apartment in Koreatown
Ora.
with no AC.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I was, I was like, off beat practicing. My
Right.
dad used to hate it. The manager of the building used to come knock on my door and tell me to lower it like every day.
Right.
It
Right.
never
Right.
failed, every day. I had my own apartment in the same building with my parents, but I had my own place, and I used to practice, and my dad used to get mad, and he used to be like, "Man, stop making noise." The manager's always getting mad at us for making noise, and that's how I started. I started with the vinyls, and I started with hip hop.
That is cool, man. That's
A lot of
wild.
people don't know, I started off with hip hop before I touched any Spanish record.
And that was going to be my next question because today you're definitely known as one of the prominent reggaeton DJs, and
Right.
your name is kind of synonymous with reggaeton here in Los Angeles. So obviously, reggaeton I think was kind of starting to kick in mid 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. It slowly started to pop in. I remember some of the first artists that started popping out, Big Boy, El Chombo, General, but they
That
were,
was before I got into it. I found out
yeah,
about them after doing my homework.
yeah. So, but
I used to see the cars in Koreatown drive by my house bumping reggaeton, and I used to hear it, but I wasn't into it yet. I used to see the poster boards
mm-hmm,
of all the concerts going on, the Tego, que venía Daddy Yankee,
yeah,
so on and so on. But I didn't really know
yeah.
reggaeton yet.
Well, it wasn't. I think it wasn't until Daddy Yankee came out with Gasolina that it really like
By
kind
then
of
I was
just
already
blew
playing
up.
reggaeton, yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
I mean, it just started because when it started popping out, like I said, when I was on Viva 107.1, we were just playing, like I said, El Chombo, General, Big Boy, and they weren't really like reggaeton. It was cool. They
All the
had great,
underground reggaeton.
yeah, yeah. But when Daddy Yankee popped out with Gasolina, all of a sudden that's when I discovered like Tego and all the other guys. At what point did you discover it and start going that route?
Back in 2004, 2003, I had a couple of trips to Puerto Rico. I went for a DJ conference, Mixture Power Summit,
Mm,
hip hop. This was a hip hop DJ conference. All the big hip hop artists would show up right there.
mm,
It was fun. It was really cool. And at one of these conferences, I remember being inside this big hall at this resort, uh, and Akon performed along with Voltio. They
mm.
performed Locked Up,
Okay,
the Spanglish remix of Locked Up of
right.
Akon with Voltio. I saw the performance and I was blown away. And then I was blown away even more on the very next act that came on stage that same day. It was Simon Lennox.
Mm.
Simon Lennox comes out dressed all in white with like I'm not kidding you, with like 100 girls, the hottest girls in Puerto Rico at the time, all the video vixens, all the models,
Órale.
and it's like 100 DJs in there. And all of us were just right there with our mouth open. And I saw them perform, and I saw this before the wife, by the way, so I just want to throw that out there. uh, and disclaimer,
Right.
and there I am watching these guys perform, and I was impressed. And I fell in love with the music. Obviously, yo hablo español, crecí hablando en español,
Mm-hmm.
crecí en El Salvador. So, like, my Savi roots kind of like were, revived by seeing this.
Right.
And not that they ever went away, but because I was a hip hop head and a house music head and techno head growing up, listening to all that music. And then I saw that it made me right before leaving the island. It made me want to go to I went to the mall. I said, I got to go to the mall and I got to go buy every single CD that I can get my hands on. So
Right.
I went to this record store in San Juan, and I spent over $100 in CDs. Uh, I asked the worker, hey, who are the hottest acts at the time right now? I wanted to do my homework, bring the music back home. So I bought like Daddy Yankee, Don Omar, Evie Queen, Sandy Lennox. I bought all the CDs, and I came back home, and then I started researching them and listening to them, and I fell in love with the music.
That's awesome, bro. Because you were definitely a pioneer, and I think that at that point, the only real pop stations was Viva 107.1 and Super Estrella, and there
Right,
was really not a Latin urban station.
right.
So when Latino 96.3 came on, um, it just it blew up, man. I mean, and people started going crazy, and it was funny because I remember everybody saying, it's not gonna last. That's a fad, and this and that,
Yeah,
and
a lot of DJs said that.
yeah, yeah. I,
Never
I
gonna
was one
forget
of
it.
them.
I
I
throw it
was
out
one of
there.
them. I thought it was just one of those things that was gonna come and go. I said to myself, I saw this with Rock en Español. Rock en Español had a good run and then slowly faded away. And even though there's still some artists out there that perform like your Manaz and Lale, and but it didn't stick, you know, and reggaeton just it
Yeah,
dominated, man.
yeah. So 2005, I come back. I come back. Well, 2004, 2005, I come back from Puerto Rico with all the CDs, and I'm getting my hands on all these bootleg vinyls from New York because I
Mm,
was still a vinyl DJ. I had never played with CDs. I
mm,
didn't want to. I didn't never wanted to touch a CD player. Since
right.
I learned with the turntables, I wanted to stick with the turntable. So uh, I was buying bootleg reggaeton vinyls from New York. I and I was forced to play a couple of CDs here and there on some of my mixes that I recorded back in the days because there was no other way
All right.
because there was no vinyl. Everything was so street. Uh,
Yeah.
I started doing my own vinyls along with Felly Fell. Felly Fell started doing his
Mm,
hip hop vinyls called
right.
Heavy Hits. And I started one called Heavy Rotation. So the
Órale.
Heavy Rotation was reggaeton, and his Heavy Hits was the hip hop one. And I
Mm,
used to go out to all the record stores in around Southern Cali and sell them to the record stores. We used to make our own vinyls because
that's
there was
cool.
no vinyls, and I decided to start making our own vinyls.
That's cool. That's cool. So at you now you said that you had been at you started at Latino. How did you get in there? What was your way in? I mean, was Juan Carlos still there? Juan Carlos Hidalgo, or was he there at the time?
Yeah,
Or
he's there. I mean, he was there. He was not in charge at the time. At the
Mhm.
time, the programmer when Latino launched, it was Pio Ferro.
Okay,
Uh,
that's right.
Pio Ferro was the programmer,
Hmm.
and Jerry Puyas was the assistant programmer.
Assistant program director.
So
Yeah.
2005, I get hired. I'm gonna go back one more year because Latino was 2006.
Mm.
2005, I got hired at Kiss FM. Kiss FM was looking for a reggaeton, not a reggaeton DJ, but a DJ that could play reggaeton
Mm.
and that could still play pop. And I remember going into this job interview. I was recommended by a record label rep, and I
Nice.
went into the job interview. I didn't know anything about pop. I was a hip hop head and a house music head, and I was in love with reggaeton at the time,
Right.
and I wasn't a pop head. I went into this interview, and they were like, "Do you know how to play pop music?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." You know, I learned as I was as I was there.
There
I
you go.
learned and
Fake it
was
till you
mixing,
make it.
and I was playing the Katy Perry's, the Gwen Stefani's, along with Daddy Yankee and along with Don Omar. So I was doing a Friday night party, Friday nights 8 to
Nice.
midnight on Kiss FM from 2005 to 2006.
Nice.
Uh, no, 2004 to 2005. Then Latino came out 2005,
Mm-hmm.
and a whole year went by. And I was listening to the station, and I was like, man, I like that station. I can see myself there. But me, the business in me was telling me, don't go to them. Let's see if they come to you. So almost a whole year went by.
Hmm.
I was at Kiss, and in January 2006, uh, December 2005,
Mm-hmm.
there was this big reggaeton invasion concert. It was called Reggaeton Invasion at the Gibson, and I met Jerry Puyes there, which Jerry Puyes now works for Apple. Pio Ferro, the programmer back then, now works for Hot 97, another big station in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And Jerry Puyes tells me, hey, how would you like to come work with us? And I said, well, let's hear it. So we started negotiating.
Nice.
And January 2006, I started Latino.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I think that was roughly about the same time that I discovered it and I started listening to it. And for me at that point, I had actually stepped out of radio for a while and I was doing my own thing, working other regular jobs and stuff, marketing and promotions for other companies. But then I start hearing everybody's talking about 81, DJ 81, 81 here, 81 there. And it's like, you were the man, dude. I mean, it was just like, and I think at that point, you were the only one that was doing mixes. I mean, they had other DJs, but you were like the one that just stood out.
I'm not gonna take all the credit because there was already DJs in the streets at the clubs
Mm-hmm.
doing reggaeton, playing reggaeton at the halls, at these concerts in South Central.
Mm-hmm.
and in downtown LA. But me, the business me, and the marketing me, that all the marketing and all the street promotions I had learned, I put it to work for me. So what I did is that, yeah, I created a buzz from zero. Um, I started doing mixtapes. So that was my way of promoting myself. I used to sell these mixes at the record stores at Backside in Burbank, at
Yeah.
the stores in Monterey
Monterey
Park.
Park. Yeah.
So I used to do these rounds with the vinyls, with the bootleg vinyls, and with my own mixtapes. And these record stores used Street Sounds on Melrose.
Yeah.
They used to buy them and sell them. I even used to go to some of the clothing stores on Melrose, and I would tell them, hey, how would you like to sell these CDs? I used to leave them on consignment and come back and collect like once a
Yeah.
month. It was crazy. So then I saw that the alleys were selling CDs.
Yeah.
So here I come with my mixtapes, and I'm going to each seller on the alleys. Hey, how would you like to buy my CDs? And they would look at it and be like, oh, we'll buy one, we'll take a listen, we'll see,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll get back to you. So what they did, what they did is they took my CDs and they would bootleg
They will
them.
bootleg them.
So then, so then they got to the
Bootlegging from the
point where,
bootlegger.
yeah, bootlegging the bootlegger that was bootlegging vinyls. So then I started thinking, I'm like, I can't compete with this.
Right.
So then instead, it got to the point where I would just on purpose drop them off and be like, here's my CD, run with it, go make some money with it.
Right.
Because I saw the potential, and I saw the growth, and I saw all the people that were buying them. And up until today, people still talk about those mixes from back in the days. I had a couple of mixes that I did back in the days. The biggest one was called Reggaeton Invasion. I did that one in 2005. I did two big ones in 2005. I did that one, and I did another one called The Kings of Reggaeton that I did along with DJ Casanova, which at the time and
Okay.
still now,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
the man in New York. So that was kind of like a East-West collabo, LA, New York, which, by the way, I recently put out that mixtape again out. I started a podcast called The Heavy Hitter Mix Show, and that is my first mix out. So for those of you guys watching right now, make sure to stop by my website. I'm gonna have to plug, bro. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to
no,
plug.
do it. Do it. Yeah,
DJ.
we're actually going to put all of your links here at the bottom in the
There
description.
you
So,
go. Follow the links below. Follow
exactly.
the links below.
So, we're going to have
And
all
you'll
of
be
that
able
there.
to download all the mixtapes and all the mixtures that I'm talking about. What I'm gonna do is on this podcast, I'm gonna do exactly what you're doing right now. Go back, and I'm gonna go from the past to now. And I'm
Nice.
gonna put all my mixtapes. I have like 10 mixes that I have on the vault that I'm gonna bring back, and I'm gonna put them out there. And once I'm done putting out all the older stuff, I'm gonna start putting up new stuff on there.
Nice. Nice. So, you've now been on the air, as you said, on 93.9 for a year. Pandemic hits. How are you dealing with it? How have you been dealing with it all this time? I mean, obviously, you've still been on air, you've still been going to the station and stuff, but has your creativity been sparked during this period of time?
During the COVID, you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Well, when the COVID hit, uh, I came home. I was recording everything from here. I have a setup here where I could do everything from here.
Mm-hmm.
And for about a couple of months, I was doing my show entirely from home.
Wow.
The creativity, it just didn't feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would get into it with the mix, but just the talking part, putting it all together, it was a lot of work. As
Yeah.
you know, recording mixes and producing and everything and putting it all together, it takes time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I did it for a couple of months, and then I just said, you know what? I told my wife, I told the bosses at the station, I said, you know what? I'm just gonna come back, and I came back. So this whole time, for the past 2-3 months, I've been doing my entire show from the DJ booth. So I'm inside the DJ booth while my board up operator is inside the main
The
studio.
main studio. Okay.
And occasionally I come into the main studio if I need to, but 99% of the time I'm inside the DJ booth by myself.
Yeah, it's funny because just today I saw a picture of you in that booth, and I'm like, that doesn't look like the big booth that he's normally in, So I was like, what's
Yeah,
going on here?
no, there's no way to be in the big booth anyway. The DJ booth and the on-air studio have to be separate.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
way to have both together. I mean, you could, but ideally,
Exactly.
gotta separate them.
That's cool. you have been um known also as the heavy hitter.
Right?
Tell us about that. Tell us how did that come about?
That came about early 2000s before I even became a DJ. This is when I'm doing. This is 81,
Hmm.
the promoter. Um, I linked up with Felly Fel, like I was telling you,
Hmm.
and with the whole vinyl releases that we used to do back in the days. And he brought me into the heavy hitter crew as a promoter, not as a DJ at first. And then the DJ part came on after. So I became a heavy hitter before I was even a DJ, which is kind of it's kind of crazy
Right.
because getting into that DJ crew is it's for a lot of DJs it's everything.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's the biggest crew in the country, in the United States, and some say in the whole world. It's really hard to get into it. I still remember the first time I got in, but I got it. We do these conference calls, and up until today we do them. Back in the days, I still remember Felly introducing me and telling to the crew because everybody has to vote you in. It's
Mm.
not like, hey, he's in
And
and
then
that's
that's it.
it.
Yeah.
No, you gotta. It's like getting jumped in. But he's introducing me on this conference call, and I'm never gonna forget this. Up until now, we still laugh about it. El Boogs, one of the honor personalities in New York, with his big New York accent, says, "Who the fuck is DJ Eddie One? Like, why should we let him in?"
Right. Right.
So then Felly starts telling everybody, well, he does this, he does that. He's making a name for himself on the street. And yeah, that's how I got in, man. Thanks to Felly. I still remember, before officially introducing me into the crew, we had a long night conversation, man, like all night
Wow.
talking about it. And kind of like he was like, it was like the longest interview I've ever had. He was asking me all kinds of questions. If I get you in, I want to make sure, you're not gonna make me look bad, and I sure didn't make him look bad.
That's cool. That's cool. Now you and I, again, we worked together at Latino Mega, and then I left. I decided to leave radio, but yet our paths cross again at the stadium. And as people can see, you're wearing your shirt, priding of the LAFC,
I'm gonna have to
and
show you my shoes too,
there you
because
go.
hold up.
Orale, check you out. You're all geared up, man.
Gotta send a shout out to WSS for these, man. These are so hard to find right now. They're going for like a few $100 right now online because they sold out quick.
Yeah, man, that's nice. That's nice. So from time to time, I get called in to be a PA announcer for, Gold Cup and stuff like that. And I run into you. I think we were at the Rose Bowl, right?
Yeah, for a game for a Mexico game.
Yeah, yeah,
Mexico and Croatia.
yeah.
Right. Yeah,
That was
Mexico.
it.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the PA announcement, and then I see a DJ set up, and I'm all cool. Who's spinning? They're all like Eddie One, and I was like, oh, cool, man. And there you
Right.
are. And then the next game, and I forget who that was, where they put you down on the field
Uh-huh.
over there in the corner. And I remember it was freaking hot that day, man. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
this guy must be melting down there, man. And I'm up in the booth, but it was hot in the booth. And I was thinking,
I
man,
think
this.
we talked. Let's go back to that because no, you were talking about the training session. I DJ the training session
Uh huh.
for Mexico,
Yeah, yeah,
and then I DJ the actual game.
yep.
That's how it all went down. If I don't recall, I might be wrong. But the training session, yeah, the training session was like they had it open to the public and they put me on the floor.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and then for the actual game, they put me in the booth, which in a way I'm glad I was in the booth because you have more control and
Exactly.
it's just hectic than being, obviously you want to be in the spot where people can see you. But in this case, I was actually happy that I was in the cut,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
booth.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was hot during that time, and so shortly after that, you get hired as one of the official DJs for LAFC. How does that come
Yeah.
about?
Well, I was introduced to LAFC like a year before, like a year and a half before it even started as a soccer team.
Hmm.
I had a call from actually one of my listeners that ended up working at LAFC. He calls me. He tells me, "Hey Eddie, we're looking for a DJ. We're considering you. We would like to meet you." and you know, they know that I'm a Galaxy guy because I used to be a LA Galaxy fan. I grew up listening to, I mean, watching Cienfuegos play,
Yeah.
El Tanque Hurtado, you know. So they know that I'm an LA Galaxy fan, but they want to take me and make me and convert me into an LAFC DJ. So I had a meeting with them, and they're like, we see that you go to the Galaxy games and you're always on the field. They hook you up with VIPs. You go on the field with your family. You take your kids. We want to do the same, but we also want to offer you a job, and we want to make you one of our DJs. We had a couple of meetings, and at first I thought I was going to be the only DJ, but then they ended up going from one DJ to like six DJs,
Mm.
which is cool.
Yeah.
Which is cool because I don't have to be at every single game. On the weekends, there's times I have to do family things. So
Right.
at first I was like, okay, it's at first I thought I was going to be the only DJ, but then they ended up hiring DJ Charisma from Power 106 and a couple other DJs from other stations. And I'm at the moment I'm the only like Latin friendly DJ. So when I'm at the stadium, I give it, I put that Latino flavor for sure, and,
There you
and
go.
people know when I'm there because they hear, they'll hear reggaeton, they'll hear a cumbia, they'll hear la chona. I try
Yeah.
to please everybody when I'm at the stadium.
Well, you definitely knew how to work the crowd because the time that I was there, man, people were going freaking insane when you were spinning, man. And the cool thing about that stadium is that it doesn't matter where you're sitting, even if you're in the booth, you get the full reaction of that crowd, man. So when you were spinning tracks, boom, people going insane, dancing and stuff. I mean, dude, man, that's awesome. It was bomb.
Yeah, no, yeah. At the beginning, they put me in the booth, which there, it's the other way around. You don't want to be in the booth. You want to be with the crowd because the crowd is they,
It's on
they get
fire.
so into it,
Yeah.
So at first they put me in the booth, and then they put me right at midfield. And
Nice.
right at midfield, man, you got the best seat in the house, and you're right in the middle of the action. And yeah, it's something else to be able to spin at a stadium. And at the moment, that's actually the biggest crowd that I've DJed at because it's over a little bit over 22,000, 23,000 around
Wow,
there
that's huge.
capacity. And every time I've been there, it's been full, sold out.
Yeah. Now it's a good team, man. They're definitely, doing good stuff out there. Now, being that you're a program director, and we have DJs that they might be just getting started that are watching this program, or that have always wanted to be on radio. As a program director, what is it that you look for in DJs to spin on air? What would you say that is?
First, for radio, because for the club, for the streets, it's two different things. But
Exactly.
for radio, number one is clean mixing. Uh, why? Because the regular listener is not a turntablist. They don't know about scratching and tricks
Mm-hmm.
and that, and most of them don't even care. And that's just reality. They don't. They just want to hear their music mixed, blended correctly. So number one is mixing. Uh, Number two is following directions. And then the tricks come in. That's the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you know how to cut, if you know how to scratch, that's great. But if your blends are not on beat on radio, it's so noticeable.
Yeah.
At a club, you could be a little bit off beat, and everybody's having a good time. Everybody's drinking, dancing. They don't even notice. They might not even notice. But on radio, when the listener is in their car, stuck in traffic, and you throw on something that's offbeat, it's noticeable.
Right. And it also the music is different than what you would play at a club. At a club, you're probably going to play some really crazier remixes than you would on air. A few weeks ago, I had Fernando Perez on here, who also now consults radio stations across the nations and stuff. And he was talking about that, how he's had some DJs where they send demos in and they're just going insane with all these hardcore deep remixes and stuff, and thinking that it's the best thing since sliced bread, but in reality for radio it doesn't work.
Yeah, remixes are key. It makes the mix sound different.
Hmm.
You definitely don't want to sound like the regular rotation of the regular music we play throughout the day. You want to drop a remix here and there. But like I tell our DJs, the ones that mix with us, the ones that do guest spots right now on the weekends or on the holiday weekends, people want to hear the original song.
Yeah.
Unless it's a remix, an official remix, then it makes sense.
Right.
But for the most part, like you don't want to turn like for example, like a bachata song into like a house remix, and I've heard them,
Yeah.
like it just doesn't sound right,
Right.
or or people don't want the record sped up so much, or if you do a remix where the song just sounds too chipmunkish, then the people don't want to hear that. They want to hear the original song. So
Exactly.
my advice to my DJs and all the DJs that do radio, you know, for ratings purposes, is drop a little piece of the original and then go into a piece of the remix. That's what I tell the guys, because I also don't want to stop them from being creative, but at the same time, it's
Right.
kind of like meeting halfway. Me as a DJ, I totally understand where they're coming from, because I kind of used to think like that. Remix, remix,
Yeah.
remix. So I tell them, people want to hear the original song. Let's not make the mix a remix mix.
Right.
You get me?
Yep. Yep. Yeah. No, trust me, man. I've heard some people on air. I ended up doing a show for Las Vegas radio stations. I do freelance work for them, and I'm still doing some remixes right now. We had a show called the Vegas Mixdown, and unfortunately, it was all sponsored by nightclubs and stuff. And since COVID, shut down, so all the sponsors went away because all the clubs are closed. But
Right.
the person that was there before me, he was like all into EDM. And, we're talking, this is kind of like a Kiss FM format. And this guy was just getting really hardcore. And as many times as the program director was trying to talk to him and guide him, he was just like doing his own thing. And like you say, follow directions. And eventually the guy ended up going, and when I came in to assist with promotions and marketing. They found out that I was a DJ. They said, "Can you put a demo together?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." They liked it. They presented it. They sold it, and then we started making it happen. But it's very important that in radio, DJs be humble and listen to the program director, because the program director knows what he's doing. They're getting the ratings because of a person like you that been at it for a long time. Because like even when you were at Mega 96.3, the VP of programming and the program director there were reaching out to you for
Yeah.
assistance. They
I
had
mean,
you.
it's kind of like a meeting halfway,
Mm-hmm.
with the DJs. Like, I know the DJs want to play the latest new music, and I was like that, and I'm still like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a way to break the new music in a way where you're not gonna get tune outs. That's what we call it in radio terms, is tune outs. People tune you out.
Right.
It might be the biggest song in the world. So to me, with the DJs that we have on the air, as guest DJs or any DJs, what I tell them is, would you drop a brand new song that nobody has ever heard in the middle of the dance at a nightclub, at a dance floor, at a prime time? Probably won't, because what?
Exactly.
What's going to happen? Even if it's the biggest song, people, if it's something brand new, they automatically
They zone
scatter
out.
away.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's just reality. Unless it's something super big and viral that right away becomes a hit, which
Exactly.
we don't get too many of those.
Yeah. It's very rare.
So
Very rare.
I kind of tell them, when you're gonna play a brand new song, back it up with something big, just like you would do at the club. Like when you're introducing a brand new song, when you're mixing at a club, if you see that reaction and people scatter like ants, you're like right away switch it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of similar on radio, where you just gradually get them into the song little by little,
Yeah.
instead of playing a bunch of brand new songs back to back, because the regular listener just tunes out. It's
That's
just
it. And
reality.
then you're done. Your ratings go down and pa fuera.
Yeah.
That's it. So you talk a lot earlier on our conversation about your business sense and your entrepreneurial spirit. And that entrepreneurial spirit led you to also do something else, which was to open up a record pool,
Right.
LatinoMusicPool.com. How does
Yeah.
that come about? How did you decide, you know what, this is what I'm going to do now?
Well, back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, I was running a record pool called West Coast Record Pool, along with DJ Vice, and we were partners on it. and it used to do well. We had just 30 DJs. We wouldn't go above 30 DJs. We had a lot of the biggest club DJs at the time, and we wouldn't go above 30 DJs because we would only get 60 records. So our thing was to give each DJ 2 records, and then once the records went away and it went digital, we dissolved that pool went away. I figured back then that there was a market for the Spanish music, and the DJs needed the music and they needed the intros. So yeah, I decided to start the record pool, and that's how it came about.
That's cool, man. And you, I mean, it's become one of the dominant ones, at least here in Southern California. I mean, whenever anybody, it's funny because I'm a part of a lot of these, DJ groups and stuff on, on social media, and they're always talking about it. And whenever anybody, whether it's here in LA or outside in another state, whenever somebody says, does anybody know of a cool Latin, record pool? Boom! Everybody starts playing Latin music, Latino music.
Yeah, we were that one was one of the first ones. There's a few others out now.
Yeah.
Everybody just like like the Spanish music is so big now that is crossing over into the English stations. Same thing with record pools. There's a lot more out there.
Yeah, definitely for sure. So what's next for you, bro? What do you got going on? Because I mean, you have your plate full. You have your record label. You have the soccer team that you're DJing for. You're programming the radio station. You have your radio show. What else are you gonna add onto your plate? Because I know you're nonstop, bro. No te dejas, no terminas.
But I feel like sometimes my day is just not long enough. That I don't have time to finish everything, and I've been thinking about what's next, just like you asked, and I think what you and I are doing right now is kind of like what's next for me. I want to start doing more podcasts. I want to put all my mixes into podcasts, and then branch out into something where I'm talking to the people,
right.
Whether I'm talking to DJs or whether I'm talking to my listeners, and just talk about topics. I'm still not sure yet what I'm going to talk about. I know for sure I started off the mix one for sure.
Right.
So that was called the Heavy Hitter Mix Show, and that's the one where I'm going to put all music related stuff. But besides that podcast, I want to do something where I'm talking to people, where I'm either talking to, like I said, the listeners, or maybe giving some DJ tips. I don't know. I'm still not sure just yet what I'm going to do on that one. I might, and I might have, you never know, I might do a third one, but I want to make sure that I can get the first one going first. Right? So I have one out right now with one mix. And what I'm going to do is every Friday, I'm going to be putting up a mix on my website on dj81.com. And that mix is going to be linked up to my podcast.
Sweet. Well, that's good, man. I mean, I know that whatever you do, it's going to be successful because you definitely have a fighting spirit. As long as I've known you, you've always pushed the limit. You never settled. I mean, you just are constantly focused on what you want. So I know you're going to do great things, and I know that whatever you come up with for your podcast is going to be awesome, and it's going to take off. So, and we're definitely going to be, posting all your links, as we said earlier, down here to your website, your social media, podcast, whatever you got, just send it to me, and we're gonna link you up, bro.
I'm bombarded with a million links so you can post on this video here.
There we go. That's what it's all about. Well, listen, brother, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you to sit and chat with me here on DJ to DJ. It's really always an honor to chill out with you, man.
Right. No, thank you for having me, and shout out to all the DJs watching. Respect to all you guys. Whether you're playing hip hop or you're playing Spanish music or you're playing EDM, whatever genre you're playing on, hey, respect to all the DJs, and stop by, say what's up one of these days on my pages.
There you go. And don't forget to check him out here on Cali 93.9, 3 to 7 every day. Check him out. You can check out his mixes. He's doing it live on air, and that's here in Los Angeles, California. But of course, you could stream it on Cali939.com. So once again, thanks a lot for joining us. Be sure to click the subscribe button, hit the bell to get notified when I got another amazing talent here on DJ to DJ. Till next time, we'll see you on the flip side. Peace out.